Hey, everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Friday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. JJ Redick does not like how the Lakers are behaving on the road trip, and if they don't get better in New Orleans, he's going to turn that thing right around and take it back to Los Angeles. We'll explain why it's a must-win Friday. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day. And why wouldn't you, Andy, want to listen to the number one podcast network in the known universe? As far as we know, there isn't one that's anywhere else as far as anybody can find. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in, watching, however you consume this podcast, whether you're one of the 37,000 plus, Andy, who are watching on YouTube, subscribing to that channel, leaving questions, leaving comments. We certainly appreciate it. The Lakers, Andy, are about to tip off, Andy, the fourth of a 5-game trip. It has not gone well. JJ Redick is not happy about it. We'll explain what he said, remind you of what he said if you missed it after the Oklahoma City debacle in a second. But I do need to let you know first that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Got a little news about LeBron James to get into before we're done here. But I do want to start with JJ Redick and sort of his comments after the Oklahoma City game, kind of continuing to think about what went wrong for LA against very obviously the best team in basketball. It got a lot of people's attention the way that JJ reacted after the game.
Yeah, the biggest comment that jumped out at me was, I want to say it was Dave McMenamin from ESPN asked JJ something to the effect of, how do you look at a loss like this? Just such a complete dismantling by the Thunder, a team that the Lakers and every team around the league are looking to measure themselves against, the defending champs, who have been, if anything, better than they were to start last season when they won 68 games. They're actually on a better pace right now. But JJ said, quote, I think you have to look big picture. And then you have to look at where your team is right now. I don't think it's been a great road trip for us just in terms of how we played. The second half against Charlotte, I liked everything I saw. But the Atlanta game and tonight, I don't think are reflective of who the group is going to be. But it clearly is who the group is right now. So we got to course correct. And I like JJ framing that as, I believe in who we can be. And, the way that I've envisioned this team since, the offseason and then training camp and the hot start. But that just because I can picture the highest end version of this team, it doesn't erase the way we're playing right now. And the way we're playing right now is crap. So for the time being, crap represents who we are. And they have been pretty bad on this road trip. I know you and I disagreed about the second quarter of Charlotte. You thought they were defensively better than I did. But regardless of who's right, even if you want to take Brian's side on this, that would mean this road trip, 3 games, they have 36 minutes of quality ball against the Charlotte Hornets. And everything else has been inarguably terrible.
Yeah. And by the way, just for the record, I would give it 24 minutes of quality ball, 12 minutes of that was fine, and then the rest not so good. And I'll tell you, I sort of sat with a lot of what JJ said after the game, the Oklahoma City game, because reading through the comments, for example, on YouTube, and granted, some of these people were Oklahoma City people, but like
and troll away, man. If you want to do it.
Hey, when you win by 40, your team is 12-1. You have got a point differential of 15, and you're still playing without your other all-star, all NBA, one of the top young players in the league. That guy hasn't taken the floor yet. Troll. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, don't be a-holes to our audience. We will not accept that.
Yeah, but
if you want to come in and crow a bit, crow. This is how the game works.
And, I look at this as like this, Oklahoma City kind of laying down this marker of, okay, this is how tall you're going to have to be. If championship is truly the goal here, this is how tall you have to be to ride this ride. And the Lakers, as JJ pointed out, clearly not tall enough right now. Like, I don't, I mean, if we're all being honest here, I don't think anybody really is confident that the Lakers have an avenue to become better than the Thunder over the course of the season. Stranger things have happened. Guys get hurt, but you're sort of, everybody's kind of waiting around, not saying it out loud, but hoping somebody on the Thunder gets hurt, or a couple people.
You might need half the team to get hurt.
Maybe. And it depends on which half, because like they just sort of morph into all-stars no matter what happens. But like, the point is they have a standard that they need to get to. I think they're a good team, but they're clearly not good enough. And I love that JJ didn't do, it's a long season, it's just one game. We know, like, what he laid into them, and his body language in the Atlanta game, and how he responded after that one, just blistering his starters, especially all of that stuff. It's like, we are holding you to the stand. This is the standard, and we are going to expect that, and we're going to talk about it, and we will say out loud when you don't meet it. Sometimes coaches will do the thing where they say the harsh stuff in the locker room and don't say it out loud because they're worried about a headline. JJ's not doing that. He's not being a jerk about it, and he's not being unfair, and he's not singling out individual players to scapegoat them or whatever. But he's making it very clear, Andy, that they're not meeting the standard.
Yeah, and he also said, too, like, while expressing some exasperation that there were, for example, part of a quote, he said, there seemed to be more confusion, I think, on the court, on the defensive end, than we anticipated. So I got to make sure I've created enough clarity for these guys. SGA scored 7 points on an empty wing ISO. I think that's our normal defense. It's on the coverage board. We're supposed to be in flood, and we didn't get into flood. Coming out of a timeout, we were supposed to be in a zone. 3 guys knew it. Again, if I got to say it 9 times, and I'll say it 9 times, I'll take some ownership on that. So, and look, to be honest, there are things that happened in this game. Like, I rewatched part of the first half of the game. I didn't have enough time, or frankly, enough self-hatred to go through all 4 quarters. But like,
it didn't get better.
No, it did not. But
spoiler alert.
Rewatching, though, some of the defensive breakdowns, for example, they reinforce one of my frequent complaints going back from last season. I've brought it up again at times this season. I think this team switches both too automatically and too passively. And this is something that at some point, it's either JJ's scheme and philosophy, and it's the wrong approach, or it's maybe an appropriate approach and it's being implemented incorrectly, or some other explanation. But what they are doing defensively, I watch, teams like the Thunder and other teams often dictate the mismatch that they want. And it too often feels like the Lakers are very accommodating in that process. And it's been an issue. There are too many times when Rui Hachimura ends up defending a guard. It's among the many reasons why, like, really, when LeBron comes back, Rui, if for no other reason than he's the most likely guy and most obvious guy without small p politics getting in the way, to go to the bench, because you can't have this defense is going to have enough troubles as it is. You can't have 4 guys in Luka, LeBron, Rui, and Ayton who are all best suited to guard either big wings, forwards, or bigs. You just can't have that. You need Smart or even like Vando in that starting lineup just to give you the variety. You can't have it this way.
Yeah, let's take a break, and then After the break, I want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into this because I think what we saw, like some of the confusion and breakdowns and three guys doing one thing and two guys doing another thing, is related to a very specific part of this matchup, which was on full display. Get to it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Drip Drop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better, and that's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop is not your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro teams. I've been adding it to my water during workouts. It's fantastic. My favorite flavor is the sugar-free cherry limeade, but any of the citrus choices are really, really great. And it's awesome for staying sharp and energized through long days. If I'm going to be driving around a lot, I know that ahead of time. I put some in my commuting water, and it makes the traffic that much more bearable. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop.
Locked On Lakers is also brought to you by Wayfair. The holiday season's just around the corner. That means it's time to get your home ready. Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help you make your space shine. And the best part, you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long with up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. You need all of those things, all the S's, Andy, all the S items and more, 70% off. I recently upgraded. We've upgraded our outdoor space. We've upgraded our indoor space, and we've used Wayfair, the chairs. That's how we got them. Great service, sent straight to us. We actually had a problem with one. It wasn't their fault. Something came. It had broken. They sent us a replacement right away. We loved using it. The experience was fantastic. Couldn't believe how fast everything shipped to us, too. So if you've ever hosted family for the holidays, you know how much of a difference a few new touches can make. Wayfair makes that easy. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. That's WAYFAIR.com. Sale ends December 7th. So I mentioned this, and we should note, because this is important. LeBron James practiced with the South Bay Lakers, and by all accounts looked sharp, came out of it without back pain.
It's been 2 days in a row now, actually.
Yeah, and hopefully did not celebrate by going to play golf. Just saying. Anyway, so LeBron is certainly working his way back. He's obviously not going to join the Lakers on the trip, but will continue practicing and all this other stuff. And if he continues on this path, the return shouldn't be too long at this point. That sort of late back half of the month thing still seems very realistic.
Yeah, I think the hope would be the 18th of November against the Jazz at home. If it's not that game, the Lakers have several off in between, and also several opportunities to practice in between, get LeBron even more up to speed, more of a ramp up. Report from Dave McMenamin from ESPN said that already the Lakers are planning on practicing Monday. I imagine very much with the idea of we want to do this so LeBron can have yet another practice. But in the grand scheme of this season, LeBron's availability for a game against the Jazz should not be such a priority that you would risk any type of setback. Like you need to exercise caution with this, because they cannot go another 10 to 20 games without LeBron. So it seems like the 23rd is probably the latest it's going to be.
That's what I was going to say. I think that's the thing, is when you mentioned the time between that, they're both games against Jazz, by the way. It's a home and home, but it's a home and home with 5 days in between. They play on the 18th, and then it is, like you say, an enormous gap between those by NBA standards. They don't play again after Tuesday until Sunday. I don't know, maybe they're walking to Salt Lake City. I'm not sure. But that does provide a lot of time. That said, too, if you did feel like LeBron could safely get on the floor on the 18th, that would also give you an enormously long, unusually long recovery time for that first game. So, but you're right. They're going to be cautious with it. You ought to be able to beat Utah without LeBron. That's just, how it should be. Before we get into tonight's game, which I think is a must win, and
I'll take it a step further when we talk about it. But
yeah,
keep going.
We saw Wednesday on full display the Lakers struggling with athleticism and struggling with defensive pressure, and not just athleticism at one position and defensive cohesion at one position, but a team that really could do that 1 through 5, basically no matter which 5 guys were on the floor. Oklahoma City is unique in that way. They did, the Warriors got dismantled by Oklahoma City on Tuesday, turned around and beat San Antonio, who don't suck, on Wednesday. So, like, they've done this, Oklahoma City, to a lot of teams. But I feel like all of that confusion that you described in the first segment, rewatching the game, and that we talked about Wednesday or Thursday morning, to me, it's a byproduct of not being sort of mentally able to process how quickly Oklahoma City was doing stuff, how much pressure that they had, the normal half second or 1 second that you might get to do A, B, or C action, you don't. And they never adjusted to that, certainly not as a group. And I think that is what they're going to have to fix, is raising their level of execution, because there is no athleticism, well, that they're going to get to that's going to make up that gap.
I mean, sadly, the athleticism quotient will rise when nearly 41-year-old LeBron returns. I mean, it's just the truth. It will. Rewatching, this was in my notes when we were doing our post-game show Wednesday night, but we had so much other stuff to break down in the game. It didn't come up, but there were so many defensive communication and breakdowns that didn't just occur, but where you would see one Laker, and it was most often Marcus Smart, but there were other guys as well, motioning to somebody else like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, this was I'm not going to say this is the first time that we've seen the Lakers play bad defense, because, to be perfectly honest, that's been most of this season, even when they've won games. They have not been particularly good defensively the whole year, although this road trip has been alarming defensively. But this is the first time I remember seeing this many outward, bro, what the F, man? Yeah. Like, what are you doing? What are you not doing? Why are you not over here? Why are you not covering this guy? Where you could see almost they were as confounded by it as I imagine JJ and the staff were on the bench.
Well, it's because I don't think they were processing things at the same rate. By the way, the Lakers, granted, Wednesday night probably knocked them down a couple spots. They're currently 22nd in defensive efficiency, and even with that move down, it's they were middle of the pack before that. So, like I said, I just don't think they were able to process things at the same speed. They were not seeing the same things. I think they eventually started seeing some ghosts. They got back cut so often in the first half. I think they started to see players and feel players that weren't there offensively, and then defensively couldn't find them. And Marcus Smart, for example, did a lot of pointing at Rui Hachimura, sees that stuff. And, this is where, even while he is not the sort of all defensive guy that he used to be. This is where LeBron helps because LeBron sees. So even when like Kobe was near the end of his career and was mostly a pointer on defense, sometimes the guy who sees and points is helpful, because if nobody's seeing it, you got a problem.
They need another voice too. I mean, they need more voices out there. And I think Marcus has done a good job with it, and it's, or being conscientious of it. It hasn't turned into effectiveness or, cohesion on a regular basis, but I think he's done a good job doing it. Like if you watch him, you see him talking a lot. LeBron talks a lot on the court, and they need it. Like, as a back line, DeAndre Ayton is not the chattiest guy. He just isn't. I watch this stuff. It's not that he doesn't talk at all, but he's not a constant communication guy. And frankly, it's not his wheelhouse.
I was about to say, even if, he's just not, and he's not an all league defender. And that makes a difference, but somebody left a comment too, like, do you think, like, hey, Oklahoma City was missing their guys, and like, do you think, you can't just say LeBron comes back and that's the thing? It's like, not the point. The point is the Lakers. Like I said, I don't see how they get to be better than Oklahoma City when LeBron comes back. That's not the point. The point is they can't compete. They need that extra ingredient. They need that talent. They need the offensive outlet, a third ball handler to handle that pressure. They need another body who's very strong defensively, and sees the floor well to be able to try to combat that attack and all that kind of stuff. They're not equipped to play a team like Oklahoma City without LeBron. It's not that LeBron makes them better than Oklahoma City. It's just whatever ceiling the Lakers have against the Thunder requires LeBron's presence.
Yeah, absolutely.
I categorized Friday night's game against New Orleans as a must-win. Andy somehow thinks it's like in a category even higher than that. We'll explain next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by DoorDash, and the NBA season heating up. DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with the Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking about player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, stuff you'll actually want. You can get everything from snacks to drinks to headphones, ice, even socks, all delivered one spot. Next time someone goes off for 50, use the promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on an order with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the Bag Drop. Dash Pass members only 50% off, up to $10 the next day after a 50-point game with the promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long.
Locked on Lakers also brought to you by FanDuel, and the NBA is back. Obviously, there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to who's going to stage a big fourth quarter comeback. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so it's rare enough that you would call a game in, still the front half of November a must win for a team that's 8-4. But you said you would frame it even more significantly than that. Explain.
I think it's not just extremely important that the Lakers beat the Pelicans on Friday. I think it's really important that they kick the bleep out of them. Like, I really do. Like, other than, like we've talked about, one half against Charlotte, at least that you and I can agree on that half, JJ can agree on that half, they've been totally unimpressive on this road trip, often flat out bad. And this was a road trip that you and I both thought they had at least a shot at 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
The Pelicans have won 2 games this season. They have a point differential of nearly -13. Zion is out. Jordan Poole is out. Like, Trey Murphy III is a good player, but he's not a great scorer, and that's your number one guy. They are in the bottom 5, the Pelicans, for offensive and defensive rating. Willie Green's seat right now is scalding hot. Like,
Andy,
I know
they just as to frame that, how unpopular he is, they stopped saying his name during pregame introductions, ostensibly
Really?
because, yes.
Oh,
I read that. Yeah, they're no longer introducing Willie Green to the crowd because if they say his name, they're going to boo.
oh, that's so Willie Green's a really nice guy. Like,
Wonderful guy.
I like Willie Green. That's awful to hear.
That is, I read that on Thursday.
Like,
I'm assuming it's true.
I know that there will be some fans who would say the Lakers should preserve energy for the more difficult game back-to-back in Milwaukee, Giannis, the whole 9. The way I see it is this. A, if they start this game focused and determined to just curb stop the Pelicans, it could lead to fewer minutes for your key players anyway, because if you get the job done, those guys might rest in the fourth quarter as opposed to playing longer because you're playing with your food. And B, if the Lakers barely eke out a win over New Orleans, or if they win, but there's way more back and forth than there should be, I'm guessing they're not going to be in the right confidence or mental place to beat Milwaukee anyway.
Well, look, my feeling about these things. I mean, I've been a card-carrying member of it's much more important. Like, you empty the clip, so to speak, in the games against the bad teams. Like, when you have to make these like choices about load management or whatever it might be, you do that. You make sure you win the games that you're supposed to win, and then you see what you can do in the other ones. The Lakers don't have to worry about that right now. There's no reason that Luka and Reeves or whoever else shouldn't be able to play Friday and then again Saturday. But when you design a season, the 5th game of a 5-game road trip, finishing against the Bucks, who are not amazing but aren't bad. They're over 500, and Giannis is playing incredibly well. Ryan Rollins has done well for them. Turner is starting to play a little bit better. Got off to a really slow start, but is starting to get acclimated and do that kind of stuff.
It's hard, man, when you've played 10 years with one team and then you go to a new one, and the new one happened to be one of the teams that you've been ingrained to hate for like 4 years. That's hard to do.
It's not, you try to figure it out during the preseason and all that kind of stuff, but it's not easy. So Milwaukee is at least 7-5, 7-5 going into Friday's games. Like, again, they're not great, but they're not bad. And you could lose that game even if you go in, play well, do all that kind of stuff. Giannis and Taurean Prince revenge games and all that kind of stuff. Although
Taurean's out.
Taurean's out. Yeah, he got a neck injury.
Yeah.
But so the point being, there is no excuse for losing to New Orleans. And I agree with you. It's not just important to win the game. It's important to play well. Like, go out, execute. You should be, all the stuff that you couldn't do against Oklahoma City, you should be able to do against New Orleans, because they can't punish you for mistakes. They can. I talk about this with my son.
Except one thing. Finish up. There's one thing they can, but finish.
Okay, but like, I talk about this with my son all the time. It's like, sometimes they'll win a game, and he plays soccer, and he'll be like, yeah, but they weren't very good. Like, that's true. But sometimes you need to play against bad teams and have the opportunity to execute and see the things that you're trying to do, see them work in order to build and play then a better team and perform better. If the Lakers want to win on Saturday, playing well on Friday will help them do that. If they squeak out a win against the Pelicans, I don't think they can expect to just go turn it on against Milwaukee. You need to build back those good habits and then go try to beat the Bucks.
Oh, I don't think this team has yet earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to flipping the proverbial switch. I mean, honestly, if they showed up against the Pelicans with a laissez-faire, it's New Orleans. We'll one way or another, we're going to win this thing.
Yeah,
like
bad Pelicans, no Jordan Poole, no Zion. In addition to that,
win or lose, at that point, it's like, fellas, have you learned anything from this road trip at all? Like anything? But one thing to remember, because the Pelicans are very, very bad at many, many elements of basketball. There's one thing they are good at: generating steals. Okay. They got 5 guys: Jeremiah Fears, their rookie, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, Derek Queen, another rookie, and Trey Murphy III, that each average between 1 and 1.5 steals. Their steals leader is actually Zion. Zion averages 2 a game, so that hurts. But this is the one thing, I mean, frankly, the Lakers should be mindful of it anyway, but this is the one way that they could allow New Orleans to stay in this game.
Yeah.
Their own carelessness could really be a problem in this game if they allow it to happen.
And it's kind of nice, like, of all the things that that you got to watch out for, this is a good one. Like, if it was a rebounding question, or like they're really good at 3-point percentage from the corners, or like whatever it might be, like, this is a pretty basic one. Like, the Lakers have a turnover problem, they have a carelessness problem. This is a team, like, the one thing they can do is exploit that problem. So attend to it. It's a very nice, tangible thing to put in front of them. And so I'm glad that's, I wouldn't call anything New Orleans has a superpower, but a skill. How about we leave it as a skill? Anyway, we'll be back after the game to kind of wrap it up, hopefully talking about a laugher where Luka, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, gets to sit out the fourth quarter.
But not like he sat out the fourth quarter in Atlanta.
Right. Or actually against Oklahoma City, too. Did he play in the fourth quarter?
I don't know.
In that sense, he did. He was like Shai in that game, wasn't he?
Yeah, he might have been. He definitely was in Atlanta. He didn't play much in Atlanta, if at all, in the fourth.
Shai has sat out 7 of Oklahoma City's 12 fourth quarters.
That's staggering, man.
That is a remarkable number.
What his numbers would be if he actually had to play in the fourth.
If you have Shai on your fantasy team, you're angry. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 37,000 subscribers to the channel. We'll see everyone after the game.